how do you navigate the tension, to the extent that there is any, and there might not be for you, between high performance in business and high pressure, or high presence at home? Or if you like, what does being there actually look like?
Well, it's tough, and I think here's my answer that I've found over these years. If I was to give this back to myself, 15 or 20 years ago, time is not the answer. It's being effective, and it's a big thing that I put in my companies and for my kids. Are you busy or are you effective? Right. One of the things I noticed when I started spending a little more time with my kids is I cut my work hours. Right. I went from like 65 hours a week or 70 hours a week to 35 or 40. And what was interesting is my performance actually went up, because when I was there, I was very present. When I was there, I had to get things done. So I could get 8-9 hours of work done in 3 or 4 hours because I knew I had to, because I'm coaching a game that night and I'm not going to let everybody down. Right. So it's kind of interesting in that things will use up the time that you give them. Right. If you give a task 4 hours, it'll take you 4 hours. If you give it 90 minutes, you'll bang it out in 90 minutes. So I think that's kind of the balance and the answer to what you're saying there, Patrick.
I love what you're saying. I'm hearkening back to a time when I operated an after-school program years and years ago, a couple decades ago. And I was in charge, basically, almost an entrepreneur, left pretty much to do what I wanted. And one of the tasks was marketing, which I really enjoyed doing. And it would get to be 3:30, but it's time for me to leave, to go home and pick up my young son, who was, 3. And I would get this horrible feeling in my breath. Oh, geez, I want to keep working. Yes, I want to pick up my son, and I want to, once I make the 40-minute drive, it's all good. But the initial feeling is, oh my gosh, now I have to stop working, and it was a real pain. So, have you experienced that? Did you cure yourself of that? If so, and how did you manage any of that angst and pain? If I am an ambitious, driven person at work, and my God, I've got the stuff I've got to do, and I'm always trying to be the best dad I can be. How do you deal with that? Or how did you address that?
So a couple of tips and a couple ideas just based on experience, right? So you have to understand, and think about it. I'm an engineer, right? What am I trained to do? I'm trained to find problems with stuff. I'm trained to find what's wrong, right? So for me, I was constantly looking at what I was doing wrong, or what I wasn't getting to, or what I didn't get done, or what I had messed up, or who I had failed, right? And the thing is, if you're a hard-charging entrepreneur, type A, going to take over the world kind of person, not only at work, but at home with your kids, you're always failing, right? There's no way you could ever satisfy everyone and handle it all, because you always think you could have done a little bit more, right? Mm-hmm. So it hit me one day. I was on a call with a bunch of other entrepreneurs, and I was really beating myself up. And they're like, why? Like, dude, you literally are crushing it. And I asked myself, what if I gave myself some credit? And in that moment, my life changed, because my entire world flipped completely, Patrick. It went from negativity and what I didn't get done to positivity and what I did get done. And then I began to realize that if I began to compartmentalize these things, right? If I began to create done for the day lists instead of task lists, or I'm going to work 8 hours. If I said I've got these 1 or 2 major things to get done and I got them done, then anything else I did was a bonus, right? And then if I had things in my family life and for my kids that were the same, hey, I'm going to coach this game. Hey, we're going to get ready for this Boy Scout trip. Hey, we're going to learn about business and work together on money. I began to block those things in my schedule, and those were unchangeable, right? Amazing. If you notice, when we first started this call, I said, hang on a second, I've got to finish something for work, because I gave them till basically 4:05 today, Eastern time. I'm done for the day. It doesn't matter what's left. Our best customer could call right now, and I'm not available. Not going to happen. I'm committed to what I'm doing right now. I'm committed to doing something with my kids tonight. And nothing will change that. I will come back tomorrow, and I will absolutely be the best I've ever been, right? But in those moments, you have to commit. And the key is be present. Like, wherever you are, Be present. If you're there with your kids, put your phone down, turn the email off, make it go away. And then you also have to teach your kids that, hey, if dad's at work, unless someone's on fire or going to jail, don't bother him because he needs to work because he's committed to you tonight. So you see how those all go kind of hand in hand, Patrick? You've got to give yourself credit. You got to compartmentalize.
I do. And I'll say what I don't see, and I guess I don't see you walking 8 or 9 steps in front of your children on your phone with when your children were younger and them tagging along behind you trying to catch up. Or if it did happen, you looked at that as something where you corrected it. You strove to correct it.
No, 100%. You've got to be present where you are. And one of the coolest things you can do, so once your kids hit the age that they've all got phones, make sure you have family dinners and go out for them, right? And stack up everybody's phones in a nice big pile. And the first person to touch their phone has to pay for dinner.
I like that.
Okay. Now, dinner's really expensive nowadays with inflation, right? I mean, you go to Five Guys, it's $30,000.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, what would you say what's each of your children likes to do with you today when they're with you, and when you have time not when you have time, but in your day-to-day life, what do they like to do with you? And you can take them each individually if you like.
All of mine are older now. I've got my 2 boys, and then I remarried and picked up 3 more kids. So I've got everything from 17 to 22, 3 boys, 2 girls. So I think the key to that is just making sure you do something. We committed as a family and for the kids that school was first. And then if their grades were good, they could play a sport. And then we wanted them to do something else that was a group activity that was a little more team learning centric. So like my boys picked scouts, right? Girls maybe might go with dance or scouts or whatever, 4-H, those kind of things were all available. So we as a family committed to those things. So we always put in the time. And the big thing we told our kids is if you commit to a team, you're going to practice, you're going to the games, you're not going to quit. Like you'll finish it out. Now, at the end of the season, if you hated it, you don't have to do it again, right? We're not going to force you to play baseball your whole life if you don't like it. But if you commit to a team, you got to finish. So I think a lot of the things that we did were with them for that. But a couple other things I did, especially with my boys, like we take a little trip together every single year, just for a few days, and it's just us, me and the boys. We don't know where we're going. Sometimes we plan it at the last second. I've let the kids pick it and given them a budget, and I don't know what's going on until I show up, and we basically have always committed that time to each other, and I think that's important. So I think the answer to your question, Patrick, is what do I do with them? It's as much as I can, right? And it's, sometimes you got to fit into their schedule because they're working, they got girlfriends, they got a lot of things going on, and sometimes they got to fit into yours.
Yeah, that's so great. It doesn't sound like you really have to cherry pick which time you're going to spend. It's all woven together. And I'm envisioning some of the children coming along to the game you're coaching for your other child. And this is what we're doing. And if you're not part of that, we'll see you at dinner anyway, right? Or something like that.
Well, one of our family core values is to show up for each other. Like we show up for each other. That's our identity. So if any of them's like, oh, I'm busy, I got this going on. No, this is important. This is a graduation. This is a birthday. This is something we need to be there to support our sibling. We're going. That's our identity, and that's what we do. So we've always tried to raise them that way. Another interesting one that I did, and this is somewhat, I don't know if it's controversial, but I don't know if it's good advice, Patrick. So I decided with my 2 boys that if one of them was in trouble, that they were both in trouble. Okay.
Interesting.
Interesting to think about.
Now, how did that play out? Give us a few scenarios or vignettes.
So I never had to worry about them tattling on each other, right? And what was interesting as a byproduct of that, they always covered for each other and stood up for each other and took care of one another.
And you were quite fine with that outcome.
What's that?
Were you were okay with that latter outcome?
Yeah, the only real risk was I wouldn't find out about something that I needed to find out about. Mm-hmm. But I kind of gave them that clarification as they got a little older and they got to the spot where they could get in some trouble. Like I said, my philosophy was controlled crashes, but save them from long-term, issues. So they had a few key things. If the cops are involved, Dad needs to know immediately. If something's going on, if you got accused of something at school, like any of those things that could permanently damage you, like drag me in immediately. And that was another thing, like kids and drinking and driving and all those kind of things. They always knew that, hey, call me, I'm coming to get you wherever you are. Now, that doesn't mean you're not in trouble for what's going on, but I'll always be there for whatever you need. Because again, we don't mind you messing up, but we don't want to permanently, hamper anything you're going to try to do in life.
Excellent.